it's very clear that we could talk all night on this subject, but we've got about 10 minutes for audience questions. We're going to have a couple of roving mics. So if there are any questions from the floor, please sing out. Got one in the back, I think.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you, Christy, and thank you to the panel. My name is Tony Tang. I'm the chair of the Perth Bryan Australian and also Professor from Curtin. Thank you all for coming. One of the things that we are not addressing tonight would be the skilled workforce. The vertical integration can save all the mining resource minerals to a final product would be between 25 to 40% benefit. And at the moment, the intake of STEM students doing mining, geology, metallurgy, chemical engineering has been dropping off for the last 15 to 20 years. So I would like to hear from the panel, how can we improve this? Because in order for us to do vertical integration, we need skilled people. Thank you.
Who wants to take that one?
Perhaps I could make a start on that. I think it's a very good question, and it's an issue that we've been grappling with for a long time and talking about a lot, and not necessarily making many inroads into, unfortunately. And it's a broader issue of, I guess, STEM education as well, interest amongst school kids in STEM, and then moving and attracting them into mining. And of course, mining is going to need mining and exploration, and then all of the downstream processing is going to need additional skills that we're perhaps not developing at the moment, which Lauren mentioned before, particularly in data analytics. We're getting there, but AI, machine learning, mining tends to be quite a slower adopter of those things, and we're not very good at selling ourselves. We've talked about that before too. We need to attract children, students, help them to really realise what a fascinating and exciting career they can have in mining. I'm not quite sure what the answer is, but on the education side, I think it has to be a collaborative effort between the industry, the government and the education sector to really reshape things, make sure that we have workforces to suit our needs in the future.
When you look at our population projection of Western Australia, given that we're here, has the largest projected population growth out to 2050, but it's still falling. And then at the same time, we have an ageing population, and that is continuing to accelerate. We've just reduced our international student intake. But mind you, I think there's probably some American students right now looking for a new home. The best and the brightest. It's a good opportunity. I think Germany was onto something there. So I, from a macroeconomic perspective, this is not a problem that's going to be easy to fix. In fact, I think it might get worse. And so I think that brings us to the productivity point, which is we have to get smarter and better at doing things. We recently actually in this room heard from one of the Productivity Commission commissioners, Dr. Stephen King, and he was giving us some scenarios around what the opportunities are with AI in terms of improving productivity. And PwC has actually done some of our own research. And we estimate on the upside for the Asia-Pacific region, we could have a 15 percentage point uplift in productivity just off the back of AI. So I guess my takeaway point is there's no magic bullet. There is not going to be an inflow of students studying STEM. The population trajectory is going in the wrong direction, and I cannot tell you that there is a point in the forward projections where that is going to get any better. And so you have to adapt to that and think about how that works, and whether that's offshoring or whether it's AI or, using people in a different way. Whatever the thing is, it is going to continue to be a challenge.
Hi, my name's Ivy. I've got a question that relates in a way to the human power and the geopolitics. Our industry has welcomed people from all over the world for a very long time. And if we look around the room, it's a shame the camera can't actually do a pan. We are a very diverse group of people, but we don't see the same diversity right at the top, not in the C-suite. At best, middle management. And we need to perhaps try to leverage this diversity that we actually have into the more senior echelons of our industry to try and bring out different ideas, different ways of interacting with our market and with our potential sources of investment. Is this something that is actually progressing and it's a matter of time, or is, in the panel's opinion, something that we have to try and push a lot harder for, and potentially by professional associations like ours? Thank you.
Anyone?
Can I go as the diversity pick on this particular?
Absolutely, absolutely, please.
Grey-haired, aging male. It's a very good point, and there's been a lot of work done. And a conservative think tank in the US a few years ago actually did a study, and it was thousands of companies and looked actually, and I know diversity goes beyond women, but this study looked at women in the C-suite and found that those companies, and there were like quite a few thousand of them, were more profitable with the greater proportion of women in the C-suite. So, and I think it was great that a conservative think tank did it. I'd hate to think what had happened if the report came out today, but how it would be greeted within certain parts. But it's a very good point. There's a lot of effort going in, but I think there's a lot of understanding as to what are the barriers to progressing. But it's certainly something that if we want to be more productive, we have to keep working at, or indeed redouble. But others may have personal experience or observational experience.
Just as an observation, I think that there are some mining companies that have got quite a lot of diversity at the executive level. Usually, these are the more marginal companies, the base metals, precious metals operations, where we see diversity. Where we see businesses that are working in very highly competitive markets, you see a lot of diversity in the top. And so why don't we see that in kind of tier one mining companies? If you look at their balance sheet, it's all the resource base. And so I think there's an element there in terms of the capitalisation of the rocks in the ground versus the activities that are happening in the operations themselves that drives a different behaviour. Not sure what the solution to that is, but it's just an observation.
And again, I think, with some of Trump's anti-DEI policies, I think we're some of those progress that we're looking for is not going to be, it's going to be a bit harder than what it would have otherwise been. But we've probably got time for one more question if we've got another one from the floor.
Andrew Bailey here from Minex CRC. Just on critical minerals, we mentioned them a lot this evening. We haven't really had, if you don't mind me saying, sort of an oh shit moment with critical minerals. They're still there, they're available. Japan had a bit of a problem 10 years ago or 15 years ago and overcame it. Is it just an economic problem? We can still buy a mobile phone and a wind tower, so the magnets aren't in short supply. Is it an economic problem with supply of certain minerals because the price will go up and there'll be more processed and in the market?
I think that one's a bit.
So just to clarify the question, is it an economic problem with why we aren't getting more critical minerals production?
No, well, they're not critical yet, you may say.
No. I think the issue. So the IEA is projecting, I think, a growth of minerals demand of minerals for the energy transition, which is a covers a lot of the suite of critical minerals. The IEA is projecting, everyone will have seen this, a growth of about 6 times current demand, and indeed that's going to be hard to fill just from the major producers, Canada, Australia, and a few other countries. So there's going to need to be more investment. The question is, where is that investment going to come from? How are the risks going to be managed? How are the supply chains going to be organised? And what sorts of prices will the market bear to make it viable to bring those minerals online in terms of mining? Before that, exploration investment, then mining, and then critically, processing. And as we know, Australia's got a problem with processing because we're a high-cost environment to construct and to operate. And as we've just heard, there's a skills problem as well. And I suggest that's actually an existential crisis. I think it does need much more attention. So I've danced around an attempt at an answer to that question.